Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. Today I'm going to be providing a long-term Chainlink market analysis and outlook and really going over what I am waiting to see before heavily accumulating Chainlink for a multi-year position. I'll be covering Chainlink on the weekly as well as what I would consider to be the most important chart for Chainlink, which is the LINKBTC Ratio. I'll cover this in a few moments or so, but first, let's go on the weekly here and we can identify this very strong and key support level at around $4.80. So we saw this being huge resistance back in June of 2019, as well as this rejection in February of 2020. So following the breakout of this level, Chainlink pumped around 300% in just the following 5 weeks. The market responded very well to getting back above this strong resistance point, and currently the lows in place are around 10% off of this level. So it will be interesting to see if Chainlink is going to start retesting this level, and hopefully we can start identifying some key trends in Chainlink which corresponds to the Link Bitcoin pair. But I do expect this to hold strong support in the event we're starting to correct back down. So now I want to switch to the most important chart for Chainlink, which is going to be the Link Bitcoin ratio. And basically, the Chainlink Bitcoin ratio tells us which asset is outperforming which asset and does a really good job at identifying the opportunity costs of holding Chainlink with respect to Bitcoin. And when we're experiencing these downtrends, that means Bitcoin is outperforming Chainlink. And with altcoins, we do like to see altcoins outperforming Bitcoin because they do tend to take on higher risks. Now, in general, I do expect at some point or another, we will be seeing the Chainlink Bitcoin ratio start to reverse. The momentum is going to shift back to the upside at some point or another. And when that happens, when there's confirmation of a longer term trend reversal, that is when I'm going to be very interested in accumulating Chainlink for a longer term position. So let's go over what a longer term trend reversal might look like for the Link Bitcoin ratio. And I think there's actually a great case study with Ethereum Bitcoin on its trend reversal and so many parallels between the two charts. So first we have, again, this high at around the August 2020 timeframe, this big correction back down, and then this lower high that corresponded to Chainlink USD's all-time high around $50. So with Ethereum Bitcoin, we have the same thing basically with this high being formed in June of 2017, this big correction back down, and then this second high lower than the previous high, which corresponded to Ethereum USD's all-time high. So again, this corresponds to January of 2018, and we can see that was Ethereum's all-time high from a cycle perspective, but the Ethereum Bitcoin ratio peaked right here. So very similar between Ethereum Bitcoin and Chainlink Bitcoin on this structure. Now, again, we had this 3-point structure, and then what we did was we came back, retested this level a few times, leading into the final drop, the final move of this downward momentum. So we have a similar thing with Chainlink currently with a few tests of the support level, and we could be experiencing the final leg down into a longer term trend reversal. Now, again, we have to wait for confirmation. And for me, when we do see confirmation, that is when I'm going to actually start to really consider accumulating heavily for a cycle perspective. And if we were to, again, compare it to Ethereum Bitcoin, what that could potentially look like is some sort of double bottom here on the weekly, leading into a new structure where we're forming higher highs and higher lows. So higher high, again, forming a high above this level around 0.0036, and then the lows sort of forming above this support level around 0.002. So again, that's corresponding to what we want to see on the Ethereum Bitcoin chart with the double bottom and then a new trend in play. So if we're starting to see something like that develop on the chart and have confirmation, that is when I'm going to be starting to really heavily accumulate and get a bigger position for a longer term perspective. Now, I do want to stress that I'm going to be very careful on this, and say we were to come back and down and retest this low, that is not when I'm going to start being accumulating, because obviously we could have the scenario in play where we do come down, form the double bottom, and then have a trend reversal. But for me, there's also a very likely scenario that we just continue this longer term trend and come back down, forming lower lows and lower highs. And it really wouldn't be out of the question. It would be the same market structure that we've already got, really just continuing the trend. And again, I want to see confirmation before this. I want to see a real trend and momentum shift before accumulating my longer term Chainlink position, because personally, I would rather show up late to the party than show up to the wrong party. And if we're showing up here, we could be at the wrong party if it's just a trend continuation down to some lower levels. And that doesn't have to be a bearish thing. It could obviously mean that we have a double bottom later down the road and the trend reversal doesn't come back down until some lower valuations. And then from here, I could say, all right, now I'm going to start accumulating my longer term position, because the difference between accumulating it here is we don't know if we're going to continue this trend much lower. But if we're starting to accumulate it here, we have a higher high on the weekly, a double bottom in play, and a real definitive sign of a longer term trend reversal. So those are the two differences between accumulating, even if it's at the same price level. And really what we can do here is we can look towards the Ethereum Bitcoin ratio to really see what I'm talking about. And it's similar to the fact that I wouldn't want to accumulate here because I don't know if we have a continuation of the downtrend in play or if this is a reversal just because we're up, 50-45% off the lows. And the real confirmation actually came when we formed the double bottom, and then what we did after that was we formed a higher high. So we had this higher high in March, taking out this high in October of 2019. And after that, what we did was we came back down and then we formed this higher low. So we had real confirmation here with a trend structure change, with the downtrend really starting to break here with higher highs, higher lows, and a double bottom in play. And that was the confirmation. And that is what I'm looking for on Chainlink Bitcoin to really start to develop that longer term position leading into the next cycle. Now, again, this is not financial advice. This is just my personal approach that I like to take. I like to look for confirmation, and I think in general it provides you with a much better risk to reward ratio. And again, this is not to say that we have to continue the downtrend. We could obviously have a bottom in place. I'm not denying that that is actually a possibility. What I'm saying is I'd rather wait for confirmation that possibility has actually come true than to try to pick the bottom, because I know that even if I show up late to the party, I'm showing up to the correct party and I'm still taking advantage of an 81% discount. And there's still plenty of upside to potential to take advantage of, even if you're not trying to pick the absolute bottom. And in picking the absolute bottom, in my experience, is a fool's errand. You're really running into, trying to catch the knife when it's falling. And if you keep bleeding your capital doing that, it could work out eventually. But if you have a real strategy in play, you have real structure to your longer term positioning, then I think it can be a lot more beneficial for your overall investments. And again, this isn't financial advice. This is my take on the markets. This is my strategy, my approach. And I think that even if you wait a few months for confirmation, it's not going to be the bottom is in and then we're at all-time highs next week. It's going to be a longer-term process, similar to Ethereum Bitcoin, where we had the low here in place in September of 2019. But you still got a great accumulation spot 29 weeks later. You could still accumulate right here for a great trend reversal play and take advantage of this macro uptrend. And when we do experience that macro uptrend, again, I think this is a very, very real possibility that we have a longer term trend reversal here sometime in the next few months. And when we do have that longer term trend reversal, that's going to bring a lot of strength to the Chainlink USD pair. And we could be starting to reclaim some of these lower highs all the way up into the $20 and $30 range, even if Bitcoin is still down here around $20,000 to $30,000. That's what the strength of the Link Bitcoin ratio does, and that's really what I'm ultimately looking for to really start to develop that longer term position. So again, I hope you guys did enjoy the content. If you enjoyed, please do consider leaving a like and subscribe. And as always, I will see you in the next one.